Hello! This is a tiny guitar. This is a little classical guitar I bought from a flea market, second-hand store. Well, yeah, flea market, I guess you'd call it, for 12 English pounds, about the cost of a pizza, a takeout pizza here in the UK. I think this was shipped by the company that supplies vintage guitars now, JHS, back in the day. I don't really know much about it. Obviously, probably a half-size guitar that they sold for sort of probably £12. Who knows? Back in the 90s. Anyway, I thought that would make an interesting sample instrument. But the first job I did was to do a little restoration on it. Doesn't look too bad, right? Doesn't look too bad. Yeah, so little bit of TLC. That's what this video is. And in part 2, I will do a sample instrument and make that available to you. Cheers! This shirt has a hood for some reason. In case you ever in a situation where you need a summer shirt with short sleeves and a hood. Alrighty, well, this is my next project. For a start, what is it? Well, good question. It's probably, I don't know whether you're seeing the sort of the size, but if you see my hand in comparison, it's obviously not a full-size classical guitar, right, with a sort of classical guitar peg head. But if you see the size of it, I would say that's a half-size classical guitar. Coming out of China, if we believe that label there. It does say made in China, the camera's not focusing. And if I look inside, it's called a Herald. A JHS product. Okay, JHS, so they do, currently they do the vintage guitars, the vintage brand guitars. So this is obviously an import from China, probably from, I don't know, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I picked this up today for £12. It's got a surprising amount of sort of good amount of sort of heft and weight to it, but it does need a bit of restoration. And basically, this is purchased to be a sort of hopefully an interesting sample instrument. You can see, where's my pointer? Obviously the fretboard there looking a bit gnarly. A lot of the black paint is missing here. Well, on both kind of edges. Yeah, you can see there. The head, sort of peg head, is looking really gnarly. So there's a bit of work there, and not that you know, it's just pure little cosmetic issues. It's got the D string is missing from it, but these strings are probably so old and horrible that all these strings can go in the bin. So it just needs cleaning up and a bit of TLC, and yeah, and then let's make a new sample instrument, half-size classical guitar. First thing I'm going to do is remove the strings. Then I've just got a pre-made little container of soapy water here, which I'll just give it a clean up. Yeah, that's the first job. Oh, and get these horrible strings off as well. The strings are off, and there's something inside. Can you see just there? There's like a little silvery packet. So what is that? I've got some tweezers, so I'm going to try and retrieve it. Oh my goodness, I'm going to put some gloves on. It's almost certainly trash. You know, it's almost certainly rubbish. Well, there's two things. Item number 1 looks like a child's headband. so that's going straight into the bin. Item number 2 is a chocolate wrapper. Looks like dairy milk. And there's a best before date I'm seeing of 2006, which gives you an idea of where this when this instrument comes from. Okay, I don't hear anything else rattling inside it. Oh well, that turned out the mystery object was not terribly exciting. Right, I'll get on cleaning this now. The first simple job is this binding here. It's just paint. So I could just go, you know, and you can see there, you know, the paint is coming off there and there and just there, you know. And now this is obviously, it's not an expensive instrument, costs £12. I'm tempted just to use a black marker pen just to fill in those bits. I think it'd be a bit more accurate than just painting in with acrylic paint. So I'm going to give that a go and see what that looks like. I can always go over it with a bit of black acrylic paint and a fine paintbrush if the ink job doesn't work. I think you could probably get some kind of weird paint pens, so that might be an option. Might go into the city tomorrow and see if I can pick up a black paint pen maybe, because it's the same deal at the fretboard. This black, you know, it's black, but this is just, yeah, you can see at the edges, obviously all the paint's coming off. This is obviously just some bit of random wood that's just been painted black. Yeah, so there we go. Let's see what I can do with a cheap marker pen. Well, I just had a first initial go around with the marker pen, and hopefully, as you can see, that's actually worked really well. You can see how I've been a bit careless in parts, but I can sort that out with a bit of lighter fluid. But the overall effect, yeah, need a bit of work here, but yeah, that'll do just fine. So the marker pen trick has been worked surprisingly well. I'm now going to clean up the fretboard with some quadruple O steel wool, just up and down the fretboard. Then I might give those frets a quick clean and polish. So we've gone over the fretboard with a bit of the 0000 4 zeros wire wool. It doesn't look too bad. I also went over the frets a bit there to give them a little bit of polish, and it's not looking too bad. It's not looking too bad. And obviously we've done the marker pen, so while it looks a bit shiny, yeah, starting to look a bit more like a shop condition. Now we've got some marks. Here's a big one on the body here. Oh, I don't know what this is, biro or something. I'm going to try and get that off with a 400 grit. These are the fret rubbers I use, right, for polishing my frets. But I'm going to give this a go on here. I probably wouldn't do this if this was my £3,000 classical guitar, but for a £12 thrift shop, this is actually doing the job. I mean, this is a bit of a hack. Again, this does work. Obviously, I mean, this is 400 grit, but obviously it will eat into whatever the lacquer is a little bit. But there's a quick fix. Look at that, it's gone. There's a few more marks, like here's a small mark, here's a small mark. There's lots of these little marks where I think it's just the veneer, whatever the finish has just been scratched and come up. So as you can see, it's reflecting the light, so it has got some kind of poly something on it. So I don't know how I'm going to deal with those, but the next job I want to get onto is just the marks on the sort of the sides here. So for example here, where you've got some sort of scratches in the body. And what I'm going to use for those is these Retouch crayons. These come in a variety of shades, and they're like the crayons you used as a kid, right? They're not cheap, but once you've got them, you've kind of got them for life. And these aren't bad. These aren't bad. And I'm basically just going to like this little spot here. I'm just going to go over it with a crayon, fill it in. Not the most precise of jobs. Rub off the excess with a cloth. I'm going to do that 3 or 4 times just to try and gradually ease the wax crayon-y dye stuff into the little spots. So it's like for these little ones, I think this will do. Like this one here is a bit there. This will do the job. This will do the job. And again, a little one there. And again, because we're not doing this on a £3,000 classical guitar, I'm confident that my little crayons will do the job. Okay, I think I've done pretty much all I can do with the crayon. And as you can see, it's not perfect, but it's not bad. It's not bad. I think the smaller the little scratch, the better the crayon does. So there, the crayon didn't really actually, that's not particularly good at all. But other parts of those sides, especially from a distance, that's starting to look quite handsome. Now I think there's a lot of bumps on the headstock. You see there, so I might try that with a bit of wood dye that I'll apply with a paintbrush. That might be a bit more of a better approach for these big kind of, where it's been bashed at the top. Alrighty, so we're just finishing up on the old half-size guitar here. So to fill in all the kind of the gnarly bits at sort of the bits that got scratched at the end here, ended up using one of these fill-in sort of pens. That's what it is. 3-part touch-up pen. And the one I bought was the pine one, and then so you're basically trying to match the colour. And what these are is literally like little felt tip pens that you just sort of fill in. It's not perfect, and you can see here some darker spots where I tried with some burnt umber paint, which didn't work because I couldn't really match the colour. So it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was. But yeah. So if we think how it came from the little flea market and how it's looking now, not too bad at all. Not too bad at all for a £12 guitar. Not too bad at all. So we this morning, well, it's lunchtime, fairly inexpensive classical guitar strings. Now I've got normal strings on here, and where's my pointer? One issue with that is that that's putting a lot of strain on the bridge and actually causing, I can get this whole cocktail stick under the bridge. So I think it's just been held by 2 pins here. So maybe that was a mistake getting normal sort of acoustic nylon string guitar, classical guitar strings. Sounds awful, not in tune. I think because there's so much strain on this bridge, I'm going to try and string it up, I think, a 4th down from a regular classical guitar. So I've got my nice classical guitar down there for reference. Yeah, I don't really know what this should be tuned to, so I'm just going to have to, use a bit of imagination. If I can get the intervals the same as a classical guitar, but just slightly different tuning, you know, so relatively it's all fine. So same fingering, but just like like a fourth down or a fifth down from a regular guitar. Yeah. So that's where we are. So I'm gonna finish tuning up, and let's start making some samples. This doesn't actually sound that bad, but because the fretboard is so tiny, it's actually hard to sort of fret things, because you know, with an adult-sized hand on an adult, you do tend to sort of accidentally sort of fret out the other strings. So while you know, it sort of does sound fine, but it is really hard to play. Just really hard. Anyway, that's all I know of that song. Yeah, I think this will be transformed as a sample instrument.